Please grab a seat. We're ready to start. I wanted to say welcome. Thank you for coming out tonight. I want to thank our esteemed panel here and for taking time to come out and be with us tonight. I'm very excited to hear about their experiences in their communities. I think this is going to be a really good program. And I would like to introduce our council people that are here, Diane Greenfield and Jay Ambelang. And now I would like to introduce our executive director, who is very talented, very creative, hardworking, passionate, and unpaid.
Unpaid.
Olivia Madden.
Two kinds. Thank you so much. I will get to presentations of our panel in a minute, but I would like to say thank you to our panel for coming tonight and helping us out and expressing the specifics and everything going on with improvement districts, and also thank you to everyone who's taken the time to come out tonight to get answers about what this program is and what it means for our community. So I would like to start with providing, for those of you who may not know exactly who we are, I know I apologize for those of you who do, especially those of you who are here on our board and our committees who know exactly who we are and what we do. This will be a little bit of a repetition for you, but I'd like to make sure that we're clear on exactly who we are and what we do. Hi, Lucille. Hi. If you would mind, please. Leah's my... Oh, that didn't work.
That didn't work.
That is not good. Play, up at the top.
Play.
Yeah, that should have worked. Not the space bar, the enter key.
Nope, yeah.
The enter key. Leah, everybody, is my work president. We're having technical difficulties with our presentation this evening. Okay, so hold on.
It's not working.
Why isn't it working? Let's see.
Because it has to.
Right.
While you're doing that, another council member came, so say hi to Christine.
Okay, Leah, enter key one more time. Enter. There we go. Oh, it's not very.
Push it back a little bit. Forward a little far back.
No, forward. Wow, welcome everyone. Okay. So I want to make sure that it's clear that we know our mission. We are a nonprofit. I'll mention this on the next slide, but our mission is to focus on economic development. That's what we do as an organization. We are separate from any other projects that may be going on in town that I'm sure we'll talk about tonight, but we focus on economic development, okay? And the key portion of what we've been doing up until this point is that we do it through historic preservation. So that means honoring our stories, our history, everything that we are as a community. Everything that means Bernardsville specifically. It's not necessarily what other towns do or who other towns are. We focus on who we are and what we have as legacies throughout our history. And of course, aiding in the future in the quality of life in our town. So this means that we will be assisting our residents and having more things to do in town and having a diverse business mix, which we have not yet had much of over the last many years, right? Multiple banks, multiple nail salons, all the pizzerias, right? We don't want to hear those things anymore. We want to have more of a business mix. So our efforts focus on coordinating townwide events so that we can engage the community, supporting our business community, and again, that historic preservation element. Back on the table, and hopefully some of you have seen this, when you came in. If you didn't, make sure to take a look on your way out. We have our markers for our historic tour that we will be launching hopefully later this fall to make sure that we show the community that we have this amazing legacy, this incredible history, centuries of history that we can share with the community. So again, we are a separate 501c3, which is the charitable version, nonprofit. Where are you going, girlfriend? Okay, thank you. We are officially designated with Main Street, New Jersey, and I actually just found out yesterday that Main Street, New Jersey has signed a contract with the national program, which means that we will be receiving a lot more support from our state level than we have ever had before. And I actually heard some Main Street programs that have been around since almost the beginning for 20 plus years that said that we've never received this kind of support from Main Street before. So this is very exciting for us as a Main Street community, which is what we are now. So we definitely have that support, and we are an affiliate, which means that we've hit certain markers along our way that allows us to be a Main Street community in way more ways than most first-year programs could be. So we're not directly affiliated with the borough. However, we do work that helps and supports our borough, such as beautification projects. And the mural on Mount Airy Road is a perfect example. You know, taking something that was otherwise not so nice to look at and making it beautiful. It may not be your type of art, I get that. Totally cool, it's not gonna be great for everyone, but at the same time it beautified a space that was otherwise just not nice. So, you know, continuing that process, we have a contract with a local landscaper to help make sure the weeds are removed every year during this time of year and then throughout until the fall. And things like that that make sure that we can support the borough in these efforts, but at the same time we are completely independent of them. So we operate on our own as a nonprofit. Next, please. And we are run exclusively by volunteers. So all of our volunteers, all of our committees are run by these volunteers, including at this moment in time myself. But these volunteers, we have probably a little bit more than 20, I would think. I'm estimating at this point, but we have a little more than 20 volunteers that serve on all of our committees currently. As a Main Street community currently, so we're going to be talking about Improvement District, which the district itself will be slightly different from this location, but currently the Main Street District covers the entire commercial area. So everything that we do is in effort to support all of our businesses currently within this district. And again, through Main Street America and through Main Street New Jersey. So just a sample of some of the projects that we've been working on so far and what we've been doing with funding that we've received from various grants and all of the donations and sponsorships. Our historical tour that I mentioned earlier, we hope to launch that in October. We will have an element of the historical tour that actually we are expanding, which will be an app that folks will be able to download. They'll be able to download and experience the tour through the app, but also get to see all of the retail, shopping experiences, restaurants, etc. that is going on in Burnsville. Next. Economic vitality, that committee is working on building an ecosystem, a space where businesses, whether you want to open one, or whether you already have one, or whether you're looking to be done with your business and retire, whatever stage of that business life cycle you're in, we are looking to or working on building a system where folks can feel comfortable to open their business, run their business, and leave their business in a place where we support every step of the process and every step of the way. So far, we've already done a handful of networking events. We'll have another one in September. We just had one in March. We had more last year. We'll have more support resources available, workshops, etc., and more going on. And a lot more will come as a result of the Improvement District we'll talk about tonight. Of course, we have our Burnsville Bucks program, which has been slowly growing, but doing quite well. I've noticed quite a bit of folks are, and I get all the notifications, folks are purchasing those Burnsville Bucks. So if you're part of the program, thank you for being part of that program and participating in it. It keeps 100% of those dollars local. We also have lots of events going on throughout the year, and we're hoping to bring more of those within this specific district. Our Golf Classic last year was a great, great time. I know our folks had a lot of fun. We're coming up with more. May 22nd is our next one. Next, please. Our 5K. We got a lot of runners last year. We're going to probably push 200 runners this year, so we're looking forward to that and keeping it going. Our Haunted History Tour was probably our most phenomenal, and I know we have Somerville here tonight who's done them as well. And we had so many people walking the streets. It was just an amazing sight to see because we haven't seen that in a long time. So we're looking forward to bringing them back this year too. And then of course, lots of other events that we have throughout the year. Small Business Saturday is always a big one that we like to do as well. Wonderland Weekend is definitely, sorry, this was from last year, just so you remember what kinds of events that we do. Wonderland Weekend was a huge success last year. We had a lot of folks participating. Our parade is always a fabulous event. So we're looking forward to bringing that back again this year and having it become a destination event for the community. So I know that our next presenter, Stephen, is going to talk a little bit more about this, but I would like to mention it a little bit from our perspective as well. So why are we doing this? Why are we trying to do an improvement district? So Main Street has a 4-point approach, and that 4-point approach is what I've just talked about, what I showed you photos of. Our 4 points are, our economic vitality, our economic development, our promotions of the community, whether it's specifically with our businesses or generally our community as a whole, our design, the aesthetics, the hanging baskets that are happening in town with the Friends of Greener Burnsville and supporting them and their mission and doing what they want to do, as well as the mural that we had done previously and then more projects along the way. And then that 4th point, which is supporting our organization to be able to sustain ourselves for a longer term. The improvement district is a similar concept. It's a strategy. It's a plan, it's a process so that, and again, Stephen's going to be talking a little bit more about this, but it's a strategy for us to be able to have a baseline, a layer of a foundational element where we can start to grow off of, where we can continue to be who we are as a community, as Bernardsville. It is not about being anybody else. It's not about being different or any of those things. It's about being us, exactly who we are. The history that we have, the legacies that we want to share, the stories that we want to tell, and everything about who we are and the hard work that we're putting ourselves into every single day to keep going and to keep being Bernardsville. Okay, so we want to provide consistency to support that. And a few months ago, I can't believe it's months already, January, we had a meeting and we said our word of the year is consistency. Well, I'm bringing that back again tonight because it is the word of the year for us, is that we want to be able to maintain consistency as much as possible. If we are not able to continue doing the things that we do, if we don't have the support mechanisms, if we don't have the foundational elements available to us, then we can't provide the continued consistency that we would like to offer you. So that is in the form of reliable funding, right? If we're going to continue fundraising like a nonprofit will do, that funding is not going to be consistent. Some years maybe we'll have networking events, some years maybe we won't. That's not helpful to anyone. If we have it every year and you know you can rely on it, and you know we can be there, and you know we can support you, that's much more of a profitable, an element of our community that we can certainly rely on moving forward than if we're just like, well, I don't know if we're gonna have it this year. It's the last thing I want to say to people. So the funding obviously is a big part of it, but the consistent support and this consistent programming is what leads to growth. If it's not consistent, we can't grow. We can't have our businesses thrive. We can just sort of coast, maybe, and then we'll lose businesses along the way, maybe we won't. Nobody knows for sure because there's no consistency. So that's a big, big element of why we want to do a bid. We want to provide that consistency in our community, especially for our businesses and our property owners. And of course, we can do more. As a result of all of this, we can do so much more that we can offer to the community. What does more mean? So what is like what is, you're gonna have to hit the button a few times, I'm so sorry. Streetscaping, cleaning, weed maintenance, things that actually our property owners and our businesses are currently responsible for as a result of our current ordinances that are in place. If we are able to help you and take care of that for you, then that's one thing less that you have to do. Public art, getting folks to come into town. Hey, what's going on? What is this cool art exhibit happening? Street furniture, really encouraging folks to not just come here, but to stay here and hang out and enjoy the space. Wayfinding signage is a big thing. Where's Borough Hall? Where is our public library? Where is parking? I know it's the P word, everybody's afraid of the P word, but that's a big thing, right? More improvements in signage and being able to direct folks to where they need to go. Marketing, of course, and that's not just marketing for our organization and promoting the town, but also individual marketing for every business and every property as they need it. Learning sessions, workshops, access to funding, which are grants in the form of grants, so they could be facade improvement grants, they could be marketing grants, whatever the case may be. More events that are within the district here in our downtown. More of the networking events, and then of course the biggest thing that the town seems to be asking for is filling those empty storefronts. Okay, that's something that is a constant topic that I am personally hearing, and I know a lot of folks here too. We want to fill those empty storefronts, and also update our business mix. Our business mix is completely just not diverse in any capacity. I see Sharon, you're shaking your head. It's not. Not too much of the same stuff, right? So we want to change that up. Talking longer than 10 minutes. Okay, so on that note, I will pass it on. Stephen Grillo is our Improvement District consultant. He's been with us for probably almost a year now, and I'm going to pass it over to him and talk about a little bit more about the Improvement District in Bernardsville and the next steps.
You did great. You have a wonderful gem of an executive director. You can't volunteer forever. I want to thank everybody for coming out, members of the council, our esteemed mayor, those in the business community, and of course the volunteers, and our panel. You've got some really great folks here that are going to answer some very important questions. So, as Olivia said, my name is Steve Grillo, and I have been hired by Downtown Bernardsville to perform a feasibility analysis for the creation of a special improvement district, which means that on day one, the answer was not yes. It wasn't no, and it wasn't maybe. We needed to do the data analysis to find out if this was feasible. And so tonight, I'm going to go through a short presentation which explains the creation and functionality of a SID, the proposed boundaries, as well as the services specific to this SID, and then of course the proposed assessment and budget. We have been at it for a year, and we feel like we have gone through all the data that we can to make sure that this is a viable project. Just a little background on me. I am a professional SID consultant. Yes, that is such a thing. I have created or managed a dozen SIDs throughout New York and New Jersey. I'm also the executive director of the SID in Millburn Short Hills in neighboring Essex County. And I also serve on the board of directors of Downtown New Jersey, which is a statewide SID advocacy group. So as I mentioned, my firm was retained through a grant that was received by Downtown Bernardsville through the Main Street New Jersey program. And from day one, we've wanted to rely on a variety of resources to determine if this was viable. That includes expert analysis, stakeholder feedback like tonight, and then volunteer insight to determine if a SID is a beneficial option, and if so, how do we implement it at the highest benefit and lowest cost for the stakeholders? Those stakeholders being the property owners and the tenants engaged. So with that, we can begin the presentation. This should only be about 10 minutes because we do have a wonderful panel. So a SID is a not-for-profit organization where property owners and or their tenants pay a special assessment. You'll hear a little bit more about that towards supplemental services, and that's key. These services include helping to brand the district and market businesses, facilitate networking and host events, and advocate for improvements by serving as a liaison between those stakeholders and the government in order to provide a collective voice for you as property owners and business owners. Now, it's critically important aspect is why do we want to create a SID? Now, you guys have a very strong performance portfolio, as was just seen. You have wonderful volunteerism, but while Downtown Bernardsville is eligible and has received funding from various sources, you don't have permanent funding. Everything is temporary and discretionary. And so a SID would create a base for reliable funding on an annual basis. Next slide, please. As the core strategies of nearly every SID are focused on 4 things: marketing, branding, and placemaking, planning and events, governance, right? It's a not-for-profit that needs to be managed, and business advocacy. Olivia touched on most of these in her presentation. So you're doing these things, but you're doing them in a limited capacity. Each of these concepts is honed to the specific needs of a unique community, and I'll discuss some of those that we've proposed for Bernardsville, and you'll hear from my colleagues as to what they've done in each of their diverse communities. Next slide, please. So a SID is a public-private partnership between the town, a district management corporation, which is the entity that runs it on a day-to-day basis, and the property owners and tenants in a defined area. That's also important. We'll talk about the defined area in a moment. It's authorized by state law and then created by a municipal ordinance. So that's why we are seeking the buy-in from the Borough Council here, because this cannot be enacted without a majority of the Borough Council's support. And what does it create? It creates a boundary, and it creates a budget, and it creates a special assessment on the commercial properties in the service area. And so while it's an independent entity, as Olivia mentioned, a SID does not operate on its own. It is responsible to the governing body and the public, because the governing body will approve its budget, will approve its board of directors. It's ultimately responsible for the bylaws and other public policies that it has to abide by. So this is not some entity that has free reign over your tax dollars. It is very much overseen by not only the board of directors, but also the borough council. Next slide, please. And so SID is really a bottom-up planning philosophy, and it allows for real-time solutions to on-the-ground issues via stakeholder-driven programs. What does that word salad mean? It means that you, as stakeholders, have the ability to dictate the policies and programs of the SID. This is a very locally driven program that benefits you as the constituents. And the SID has to earn the cooperation, trust, and the consensus of the stakeholders. It has to be nimble and independent, right, which government is not. Government, at its best, is never nimble. That's a nice thing about the supplemental services that are offered here. But it also has to partner closely with local government. That's something that we, as SID directors, all do in our communities. We have great relationships with our governing bodies and our department heads, because that's a really important part of having private business work with government. To fund a SID, there is a special assessment, which is applied against the commercial properties within the boundaries. And 100% of the funds collected must be utilized within the boundaries of the SID for the approved services. So unlike your general property taxes, which go into the general fund, all the money that is collected has to be used to support the businesses and properties within the service area. SIDs are also eligible, as you'll see in our budget in a moment, for grants, donations, and event revenue. And then when the SID is formed, and this is a little bit of a complicated process, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but downtown Bernardsville will eventually, hopefully, become the district management corporation that will manage day-to-day operations. And I think we all know what Olivia and her team have done so far on a limited budget. If they had the ability to have full-time staffing, I think the opportunities are limitless. Next slide, please. So through analysis and data collection, we've determined that the best initial course for Bernardsville is to create a SID that comprises two zones, the DC downtown and the DCO, which runs along Morristown Road. So that is smaller than the area covered under your Main Street program. It's important to keep in mind that these boundaries can always be expanded to include more properties. So if someone on Claremont Road in the DCL area said, you know, you guys have been up and running for 2 years, I see the great things that are happening in these other districts, I would absolutely want to be willing to pay that special assessment. We could then consider expanding the boundaries. So there's nothing that is static about this. We can move this around and create a larger district if necessary. In fact, that was what was done in Milburn Short Hills, where I'm the executive director. We went from just the downtown core to 4 other